What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the Pika Pika Papa, and it's Sunday Fun Day, which means today we're going to be talking about the cards that TCGPlayer has sent directly to us and said, hey, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there, you need to be paying attention to these because these are the ones that have been going up in price on our website the most over the last 7 days. And thankfully, I'm very excited for this. This video is very different than the one we've had for the last 3 weeks. In the last 3 weeks, we've seen some cards with, I would say, some decent artwork on it and some not so popular Pokemon names at the very top that have been seeing significant price spikes. But today we're going to see some big name Pokemon. We're going to see some awesome cards from some big sets. And for me, that's really exciting. Now, as you can see, I don't always include the exact verbiage that TCGPlayer sends along with this video list. So what I wanted to do today was highlight something that they said there at the very bottom. I'm going to kind of reinforce my thoughts on the next page. But for me, this is very important. And you can see I have it underlined in blue there, and it started off with, finally, the Pokemon market takes a breath, which is very, very good as far as I'm concerned. We've been seeing some really, really crazy sealed product prices, and it's just been wild out there in terms of the supply and demand curve. Now, they're going to go and talk about in the rest of this narrative about how, the Pokemon cards are starting to slow down a little bit, sealed is starting to slow down a little bit, and they're going to attribute that to the fact that there was a big influx of Mega Evolution products. And while that may be true, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that tells the whole story. Like, as we know, over the last 6 or 8 months, we've seen plenty of product get interjected into the market, and no matter how much was pushed in, the market completely absorbed it and prices continued to remain strong. So even though that may have been a factor, what we're going to talk about here on the next slide is what I really think is driving the market. And I apologize because you're going to see the slide today, and I'm going to do the exact same slide tomorrow because I'm going to talk about a bunch of cards in the Scarlet and Violet era that I think still have a lot of room to run, even though the market might be softening a little bit. And this is what I'm talking about. And as you know, on this channel, I warehouse the top 20 singles card data for all these eras, like the XY, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet, now the Mega Series. And I do it every single month. And we've been able to identify a lot of really big patterns. And when we did our deep dive videos into this month, we had said, hey, listen, over the last 4 months, Sword and Shield, which is on the right, Scarlet and Violet on the left, have been moving very much in lockstep. We have seen 4 to 5 months where the prices have been coming down in terms of the aggregate value of those top 20 singles cards. And traditionally, as you can see on the right, that's Sword and Shield. You can see it's kind of chunky with red and green and red. Over the past couple years, what we have seen is when we go through these periods of softness, it usually is followed by a period of growth. The singles cards get soft for a while, and then they start to pop off in price. But what we called out here is obviously from August to September, September to October, we have seen very, very aggressive price spikes. Now, the only times in the past in the Sword and Shield era, and it's important to understand, Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet have been moving very much in lockstep for 2025. That's why we can use it as a comparison. But if you look in the Sword and Shield era, the last times we've seen a plus 20% and a plus 10% together were 2 different times. And in each of those times, they were towards the very end of a period of price appreciation. However, this time what we've seen is right out of the gate, right after a period of when the prices have been declining, we immediately jumped into 2 consecutive months of very, very strong price growth. And what we've talked about here is that, hey, listen, we don't understand what's going to happen next because we haven't seen it in the past. And kind of what we were thinking about is, listen, maybe the prices are going to flatten out, maybe they're going to soften a little bit. Either way, what we have seen in the past is traditionally after 2 huge months, which you can see have happened in those purple boxes in the past, traditionally after that, things start to get a little soft. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Now, before I get into the cards that TCGPlayer has identified, this is a fantastic moment for me to give a pause and just say, hey, listen, if you like this type of approach, if you enjoy this type of data-driven analytics, hit that subscribe button or give us a thumbs up. We do fun stuff like this all the time, and I would love to have you along for the journey that we have here. Now, with that being said, let's look at the cards that they have said have spiked the most in price on their website. Kicking down the door, and I am such a huge fan of this card, and more importantly, I am a fan of this price trend. So obviously, this is the big chase card from Destined Rivals. This is the Team Rocket's Mewtwo special illustration rare. And I'm a big fan of it because not only is it up at that $582 price point, but it seems to be holding strong. You see, it went through this period of price appreciation and we're not seeing it drop. We're not seeing it kind of wobble. It is actually finding a little bit of support just south of $600. Now, does that mean if the market starts to turn, it won't give way? who knows what's going to happen, but the most exciting thing for me is that this new set, one of the biggest sets, if as far as I'm concerned, the biggest set that has a booster box from the Scarlet and Violet era, the big chase card is not only appreciated in price, but it's been able to maintain that. A lot of times we see these new cards, they'll spike up, they'll drop down, or they'll start irrationally high and then they immediately plummet after that. This card for me has shown that the market out there is very, very, I don't know, accepting of these high dollar, awesome artwork cards from big name sets. And for the long run, I think that bodes very, very well. So I was pumped to see that TCGPlayer called this card out, and I was pumped to see that it is being able to maintain that price just shy of $600. Now, the next card is another one I'm equally pumped about because I think it just goes to show you that big name Pokemon from big sets is clearly the way to go. Now, I think this card is a stunner, but remember, this is from the Sword and Shield era. This is from Evolving Skies. Back then, not a lot of people appreciated the rainbow cards. Matter of fact, nobody liked the rainbow variants in the Sun and Moon era up until the Sun and Moon era absolutely started to pop off about a year ago. That's when those cards started to really appreciate in value. So not a surprise that this card was undervalued for a long time, but when we think about areas of the hobby that might be underserved, I think this is a fantastic lesson for far into the future. For example, when you think about, I don't know, those trainer gallery cards from the Sword and Shield era too, like there were some awesome trainer gallery Pokemon. There was Gengar, there was Charizard, there was Pikachu, which had really cool trainer gallery cards, which were underloved because the alt arts were getting all of the favor, right? And then these rainbow cards too. So it just goes to show you, just because the market doesn't like a particular type of card now, if it has a big name at the top, if it comes from a big set, like you can do far worse than picking up some of them. So obviously Rayquaza, obviously when you think about Evolving Skies, you got the Moonbreon at number 1, you got the Ray alt art at number 2. Actually, the Umbreon V has been pushing the Ray number 2 card in terms of that alt art. So we shall see where it all flushes out, but I'm just very, very excited to see this type of card with this type of price appreciation. And again, it's just one of those core memories that I'm going to retain as we get into some of these other later generations, because the market won't always be as hot as it is right now. There will be times where we'll have awesome opportunities to pick up cards like this, you know, for a couple bucks. So very excited to see it popping off right now. And like I said, this is definitely going to be a lesson I take away for further on in my Pokemon collecting career. Next card we're talking about right here, okay, Ducklett. I can get on board with this because at least this one has a bit of cool artwork to it. But again, we've seen Black Bolt and White Flare illustration cards just absolutely inundate this list over the last 3 weeks. Couldn't be the list without one on here. But again, I do like the artwork. I think this is very approachable. I think it's very cool and engaging. It's not like the booger card, right, where you just got a whole bunch of green and then a little circle there in the middle. So this card, again, is it going to be able to hold the $31 price point it's at right now? Honestly, in the long run, I probably don't think so, but that's not for me to decide. The people who decide that is everybody who's out there buying this, because the only thing that drives the price of a Pokemon card is the number of people who are spending money on it. So for right now, it's sitting just shy of $31. Obviously, it's had a very big price jump here as of late, as many Black Bolt and White Flare illustration rare cards have done. But for this card, at least, I think the artwork is pretty fire. So very, very cool. Awesome to have this one on the list. Speaking of a card that's awesome to have on the list, and I am very, very, very excited to see it, Team Rocket's Meowth right here. Now, this checks a ton of boxes for me. First off, we know that promo cards have been incredibly hot, right? It is no surprise when we did our grading report video, we see that promo cards are getting graded left and right, which is a great indication that the market is very excited about it. And you also know, I love older cards. I think they are fantastic. I think a lot of them are very, very undervalued. And then again, with Destined Rivals out, Team Rocket type cards are doing very, very well. This card 3 short months ago was sitting at $10, and you have a really cool swirl in the background. This is a WotC promo card. I mean, this is from the very beginning of Pokemon, and 3 months ago, you could have picked this card up for $10 short. And so anyways, I just think this is a really cool card. I think it's a great indication of, you know, when I'm thinking forward and I think about, hey, what's going to happen when this ultra modern stuff starts to soften? Because it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. But when the ultra modern starts to soften, you know, since we have a lot of new people in the hobby, are they going to start looking for other segments, you know, of the Pokemon collecting world? And are we going to start to see some of these older cards start to pop on this list? Some of the ones that have relatively decent named Pokemon at the very top, but maybe have been undervalued for a long time. I don't know. All I can say is I think this is a really cool card. And again, you got Team Rocket, you got Meowth, you got some pretty cool artwork on there. It's a WotC era card. It's a Black Star promo. So Lots of things to love about this card, and I do enjoy the fact that it is up 107% over the last 3 months. So very, very cool takeaway from this one right here. And then the final card on the list, and I was actually surprised because this one has been working its way down, but if you were to actually cut out that big spike and then the drop thereafter, you know, the trend line in this is a very, very slow and steady upward in the right trajectory. Again, if you look over the last 3 months, because remember, this 3-month graph, the price starts where it is today and it ends where it was 3 months ago. So that will eliminate all of the noise in between. Just from a pricing perspective, this card is up 13.8% over the last 3 months, which to me represents a very healthy growth rate. And again, think about it. This is coming from Destined Rivals, and Destined Rivals is going to be a phenomenal set for years and years to come. And so you have an illustration rare card here, and I do love the artwork. I think it's really engaging. Obviously, we just talked about Meowth right there. I think this is a really cool card, and the fact that it is coming down off that high, the fact that the market is starting to cool off just a touch. Again, we're going to have to wait till the middle of next month. I'll start to do some of these deep dives and do some comparisons, but I do think we're going to see things, maybe not prices decline, maybe them flatten out, maybe we'll retain a little bit of growth, but I don't expect to see another double digit from a percentage standpoint, month over month type growth. And I hope that it actually calms down for a while. Man, wouldn't it be great for all of us to take a deep breath, be able to pick up some cards, not feel this incredible weight of the world on our shoulders that if you want something, you got to buy it now. Like, I'm very, very excited for that moment to come. However, with Phantasmal Flames on the horizon, who the heck knows if we will ever get to that point. But this is a really cool card with really great artwork. And again, it does combine a lot of those intangibles that I love when I'm looking at a card from a long-term price perspective. So coming in sub $30, we'll just have to see what happens. But really cool list of cards this week. I'm very, very pumped that we're seeing a little bit of diversity. We're seeing cards from different generations. We're seeing some really cool artwork, some big name Pokemon. I think this is very, very encouraging. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you had fun along the way. And most importantly, I hope you have an epic rest of your day. And if you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button or give us a thumbs up. Those 2 small things go a long way in helping my small channel out, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I hope you have an epic one. I'll talk to you soon. See everybody. Bye.